Welcome to the WRC podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and you're in the right place. Here at the Well-Rounded Counselor podcast, what you can expect is to learn, shift your thinking, and gain personal and professional growth. And if you have not yet done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. The conversation starts now. Hello and welcome to the WRC podcast, where we explore the multifaceted world of counseling that equips you with the tools and knowledge to thrive in your counseling journey. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and today we are diving into a topic that can truly elevate your career as a counselor: how to get public speaking opportunities. This is what we're going to be talking about today. And as a counselor, you possess a wealth of knowledge, compassion, and expertise that can make a significant impact on the lives of other counselors. So, how can you share this wisdom with a broader audience and amplify your voice in the field of counseling? Well, we're going to answer those questions today and how you can achieve getting more speaking opportunities. Public speaking isn't just about addressing a crowd. It's a platform to inspire, educate, and advocate for the importance of a topic that you are truly passionate about. So whether you're a seasoned speaker or just starting to dip your toes into the world of public speaking, this episode will provide you with valuable insights and strategies to unlock the doors of speaking engagements. So let's get started and dive into today's episode. But before we do, make sure that you subscribe and share this podcast and leave me a review on Spotify. This will help other people find this valuable content, and it would mean the world for your support. So I want to talk a bit about how to get speaking opportunities as a counselor and how it can be a powerful way for you to share your expertise and connect with a broader audience and advocate for whatever it is that you are truly passionate about. And I'm going to go step by step on how to secure these opportunities. But before I do so, I just want to remind you that I do have one-to-one coaching in my description below. So if you are interested and you are looking to level up as a counselor and you want some mentoring from somebody who's been in the industry for nearly 2 decades, please get in touch with me. Maybe you are a seasoned professional and you're just looking for a change, or maybe you are just, like I said, getting started and you just want someone to be there to kind of guide you through this crazy world that we're living in. So please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to connect. And if you just want to connect with me and see what I'm doing on LinkedIn, please do that as well. All my details are below here in the show notes. So I wanted to talk about this topic because in the last couple months, I've been just getting an influx of requests for doing presentations, public speaking, curating and conducting panel sessions, and all these different unique opportunities have been coming my way. And I just thought I wanted to just share with you some really helpful information that I've been kind of exploring as this has been happening, and also how you can also achieve getting more recognition for what you do. So number one, I want you to be able to identify your niche and your message. So my niche and message is very simple. I talk about the well-rounded counselor, being a well-rounded professional individual in the world of counseling. That is my niche. I also do a lot of college counseling. So that is, again, another niche that I focus on. So I get a lot of requests to do college counseling related topics, but I also get requests to work with counselors specifically. So I have 2 audiences that I typically work with, or 3 actually. So students and parents, that's 1 and 2. And then the third one is other counselors or people in education. So you need to identify what your niche and your message is and define what it is. What are your specializations and areas of expertise? And knowing that can help you target a particular audience to seek other opportunities to do speaking engagements, and understanding their demographics. So, maybe you're from a particular country and you want to focus on people from that country, or maybe you have been living abroad and you work with expat families. So you want to work with expat families. It doesn't matter. You just need to find an audience that you're very comfortable with, that you work with, and that you can speak to very clearly, and who can benefit from your message and your knowledge and experience. Another thing you need to do is craft a compelling message based off of your unique perspective and the problems you can solve. So one of the things that I talk about in my one-to-one meetings, in my course, is how can I simplify the college application process for anybody? Okay. But particularly international students. I mean, the course is very simplified. So anybody who can listen and read and write and all that, they can get the content and digest the information very easily. So my message when it comes to the college counseling piece is simplifying the process and breaking it down in a very easy, non-scary way and making it more exciting and fun and feeling like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that's the problem I solve right there, is how can I make this more fun? And that is my message that I always try to communicate very clearly. And you need to talk about what is the value you can bring to your audience. So this is another important key thing, is what can you offer and why they should be listening to you and your message. Number two, you need to hone your speaking skills. So invest time in improving your public speaking skills. And this can include practicing in front of a mirror, recording yourself, taking public speaking courses. I know that I do my podcast, so it helps me a lot with practicing how I communicate to you guys. I do talk with groups of people and I ask for feedback. I try to be very engaging, patient, non-reactive. So there's a lot of different things I've learned about myself as I do public speaking. And a lot of times we're doing public speaking already in our schools, whether we're doing a presentation to, a group of seniors and their parents on a college planning night, or we're doing public speaking in front of colleagues. So again, we're already doing these things. So start identifying what you're doing and how you can improve it. So focus on what you're already doing and ask for feedback. It's super important to see where you can improve it. Also watch other people that you look up to. Look at how other people communicate and articulate things very clearly. Take leaves out of their books and try to implement it, or use keywords or phrases to kind of help elevate your public speaking skills. Another thing that I try to work on personally for me is storytelling. So I want to identify and connect with my audience and tell a story and make my message relatable and memorable. So whenever I'm talking with students, for example, and they're like confused about what classes they should take in high school, I tell them my story. I said, look, I went to an all-American public high school. I did the American High School Diploma pathway. I took one AP course and I failed the AP course. I failed the AP test, not the course. I failed the test and I still went to college. So I tell that story from the beginning to kind of bring some humor to the presentation, but also to relate to them and say, look, I was a 16, 17-year-old once as well. So that's how I talk with families, and again, I know how to leverage my audience. I know who I'm talking to. So depending on my audience, I will use anecdotes and storytelling to be connecting with them, engaging with them, and for them to walk away and feel like, okay, I'm going to be okay, or they're going to leave happier than when they walked into the room. Number three, you want to be able to research speaking opportunities. Now, this is something that can come in different formats, right? So there are many ways you can, share your expertise and target different audiences. This can include conferences, whether they're local conferences in your city, state, country. They can be international conferences. These can be online seminars related to counseling, mental health, or whatever counseling you do. I mean, there's people who do nutrition. There's people that do finance counseling. There's people that do exercise. It doesn't matter. So whatever your niche is, you can find a conference or a seminar to join, and you can co-present. You don't have to be the sole only person presenting that information, but you can co-present and start out small. You can do local community events and workshops. These are great ways to partner with other organizations in the community and get your brand out there, get your voice out there, get your name out there. You can be on a podcast or radio shows. I know I've had many guest people on my podcast, and I know that I've always introduced them. I've created a very welcoming and inviting and bolstering introduction for them to to share their expertise and their knowledge, and for you guys to be able to connect with those individuals if it's of interest to you. So again, podcast is a great way to co-collaborate, cross-collaborate. Radio shows as well. I personally have not done those, but many people do get asked to be on different radio programs, morning breakfast shows, all of that. You can also do a webinar and online platforms such as like Instagram Live or YouTube Live, Facebook Live, especially if you have a following of some sort. So these are all the different ways you can do speaking engagements, public speaking engagements. And again, you don't have to always do these alone. You can co-present with somebody. The first time I ever presented at a conference was at a regional conference with my former colleague, and I was nervous because I never presented at a conference. And to be honest, I'm going to do my storytelling. When I was in graduate school, I remember I had a peer mentor, and she's like, conferences are full of crock. It's just a bunch of schmoozing, and it is not helpful, or whatever she said. I don't remember verbatim what she said, but it really turned me off from presenting at conferences. It really turned me off from leaning into that professional development. And I had to rewire my mindset to say, no, I need to give it a try, because this is where the networking is. This is where the opportunity is. This is how I get my name out there. And back in, I think, 2017, I co-presented, and it was such a hit. And that I just had this fire lit under me that I wanted to try and present and submit proposals and all of this. So, and now I don't necessarily have to do that. People come to me and ask me to do events for them. So I've kind of worked up to that place and put my content out there and done my knowledge sharing. So now I've gotten to a place where I don't need to try and put myself out there. But that leads me into the next step, is creating a speaker profile. So you can develop a compelling speaker profile that highlights your qualifications, your experience as a counselor. You can include certificates, your education, any relevant work history. I know for me, I have all my stuff on LinkedIn. And I simplified it. I have another episode on how to give your LinkedIn a glow up. So you can go and listen to that episode and get some tips on how to do that. You can obviously do it in a different capacity, have a website. You could have a Instagram, however people are doing it these days. Everyone's different. But for me, LinkedIn works very well to connect with professionals. So you can also gather testimonials and success stories of your past clients or people you work with, or that you've co-presented with, or presented at a conference with, and who took notice of what you said. You can gather all these testimonials to demonstrate the impact and credibility that you have. So when people are considering you, you can say, well, this is what people think of what I'm doing. So that helps a lot. People need trust in other people to to hire you for the gig, essentially. So making a speaker profile can be very easy, accessible, and I talked about the different ways you can do it. So do it. Number 5, you can pitch yourself effectively. So you can create a pitch to help you get more public speaking opportunities. You can research the event, its audience. You can ask questions in advance. You can have, meetings to say, who is the audience? What are your expectations of me? So I can, show up the way that you're expecting. Getting all the information is super important. Once I had a guest on my podcast, I'm not going to name who it is, but this person was not aware of my targeted audience, and the episode did not go according to plan, and we had to re-record the whole episode again because they didn't do their homework. So you really should do your homework if you're going to be asked or invited to be on a podcast, and do a bit of research. If a person's written a book, skim the book. If the person has, done TED Talks, skim over their TED Talks, become familiar with whatever it is, whoever you're inviting, or if you are the person that would like to be considered, make sure that they're doing research on you as well, that they're familiar with your work. So again, you can do this in an email. You can create like a package, like a pitch where it has all of the things I've mentioned, your experience, photos, videos of you doing public speaking, like a reel. I don't have any of that, to be very honest with you. I might have some pictures, but I think it's just my networking. It's my credibility. It's my experience in the region, my experience in the field, that's where people are trusting me and people are reaching out to me because of that. And also what I'm posting on LinkedIn, they can see it's very clear. I'm very intentional with what I'm posting. So you want to be very mindful about what you're posting as well. Prepare engaging presentations is my next step. All right. So once you secure your speaking opportunity, you really need to invest time in preparing your presentation. You need to structure your talk with a very clear beginning, middle, and end. You can use visuals, you can use slides, handouts, anything that's going to support the message or of your presentation or of your public speaking engagement. You can practice it in multiple forms so you get comfortable, especially if it's going to be one of your first times. I know I was very nervous presenting by myself for the first time back in 2018, I think it was. And I practiced in front of my team and I took in their feedback and I made the necessary changes. So, again, getting feedback from people that can understand what you're talking about and they would be essentially your target audience can really help improve whatever it is that you're planning to do. And if you don't do it right the first time, okay, another story. Here we go. I remember I was presenting at another regional conference back in 2018, and my presentation was at the very end of the conference, at the very last slot, and people were tired and people were ready to catch their flight, ready to go. People were leaving halfway through my presentation. And when the conference sends out feedback for each session, I think I only got 3 or 4 replies on my session, and they were not great. Like, people, they just didn't give me good feedback. Like, I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember crying. And I was upset because I wanted it. I wanted, reassurance that I did a good job, and I didn't get that. And for a while, I put a pin in my notion of the well-rounded counselor, and I didn't want to put that idea back out there for a very long time, up until a couple years ago. And that paralyzed me. That experience paralyzed me. I don't want that for you, okay? I want you to go in open-minded. If it doesn't go the way you planned, and if you don't get the feedback that you were expecting, that it is okay. That's why you work with a mentor. That's why you work with people who can support you through that experience. And you don't deal with it by yourself like I did. I dealt with the pain, the paralyzation, the healing, the wounding, all of that by myself. So I also had to reflect on the timing of my presentation. Uh, there were other external factors that were out of my control that probably didn't help. So keeping all of that in mind, don't don't let that stop you if you have one bad presentation and it doesn't go the way you anticipated. So one of the things that I want you to do is maybe even share a story like what I just shared with you. Share relatable stories, anecdotes, connect with people on a personal level, maintain eye contact, a body language, a welcoming atmosphere. There's something called being a contagion. So the way you're talking, your enthusiasm, the tone of your voice, how engaged you are, what you're doing. It takes about 7 minutes for somebody's mood to change based off of how the workshop facilitator is or the presenter is. And that will dictate the mood of the room. So if you are uppity, happy-go-lucky, positive, inspiring, motivating, people are gonna, it's gonna take about several minutes for them to get that digested into their neural pathways and into their vibe. And they're going to walk out of there feeling really inspired, probably calm, confident, whatever message you're trying to portray. But if I'm like, and all like wound up, they're going to feel wound up and like anxious and overwhelmed. So we don't want that. Or if you're like a very negative, dark person, or you're monotone or boring, people are going to walk out there tired and like drained and what just happened? Like they got hit by a bus. So again, keep that in mind that it takes people several minutes to adjust to the presenter's energy and how you show up. They're going to leave feeling either refreshed or depleted. So super important tip. You need to leverage your speaking engagement. So You can record your speaking engagements whenever possible, share them on a website, your social media. I usually just share everything on LinkedIn. So if you want to see anything I've ever done, you can see it on LinkedIn. I personally am not very good about capturing my public speaking engagements for a variety of factors. It's just, I'm not, I feel like I don't have a face for the camera, but that's my own insecurity, right? That I have to work through. So I prefer not to post these kinds of things, but they are out there. I recently did a workshop at a youth teen leadership conference, and there is some video footage of me. It turned out pretty nice, so I posted it. But that's just my own complex. So again, you can collect feedback, testimonials from the attendees, and that can enhance your reputation and credibility. You can network with other speakers and event organizers to secure future opportunities as well. And number 9, you can continuously learn to improve. I kind of talked about that throughout my podcast episode today, is seeking feedback. This is so important. After each speaking opportunity, you can always improve. I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I have a ways to go. I know that there are people who are much better public speakers, who speak more eloquently than me. Sometimes I say too much because I'm nervous. These things we have to constantly be mindful about. And there are so many resources out there. There's Toastmasters, TEDx Talks, there's tons of coaches who help you with public speaking. So again, there are resources out there to help you improve. You can consider joining any of these things to support you to improve. You can consider joining professional associations in the counseling world, and you can network to see what opportunities are out there to cross collaborate. And these things are, what help you elevate your career. So I wanted to share with you what I've been doing, how my kind of journey started in the public speaking world. It was non-existent pretty much, to me getting lots of requests pretty much at least once a month. Now I can't always do a public speaking event because of the timing or whatever, but I try my best to get back when I can. And so just keep that in mind. If you're getting a lot of invitations to do so, don't feel like you have to say yes to everything. Feel it out and see if it's a good fit for you. I think that's very important. So if you follow these steps, these tips, and you're persistent in seeking these speaking opportunities, you can expand your reach as a counselor. You can make an impact on other people's lives. You have a following, and public speaking is a skill that we need anyway in our profession. So this only helps you level up and become better at what you do and more well-rounded. And with that being said, I encourage you to reach out to me if this is something you would like some coaching on and some support. And all my details are below. So I would love to hear from you if this episode has helped you. And again, I'm here. Connect with me, reach out to me, and I hope to catch you guys all on the next episode. Did you love the episode? I hope you're feeling inspired and no longer feeling alone out there, and you're ready to evolve and become a better person. Make sure that you share this podcast or take a screenshot and post it on your social media. That's how you help spread this podcast organically, and people can find it much easier when you share, or share it with a loved one. I'm your host, Katrina Marie, and make it your mission to be a blessing in someone else's life today.